And we're early. I guess when I'm on tour, I'm early. And when I'm in town, I'm late. That's the way it seems to go. I tell you what, it's all glamour around here. I'm in the laundry room at this venue because it's just kind of the best internet reception. So you can see it's all crazy and rock and roll backstage. Laundry machines. Good times. Yeah. You know, we're in Manchester, Salford, which is like the BBC's like right here across. There's like a little, I don't know what you call it. It's a little waterway. Go across a little bridge, and the BBC's right over there, like their headquarters. I guess I moved from London to here a while ago. You know, they call it Media City or something like that. And there's a nice venue here. So we did a little jam tonight. 2.5 hours at least. James Cole, the other guitar player and musical director in the classic rock show, brought a couple nice Les Pauls, a 54 that has been painted red. Sounded great, man. He had to bring it, and he's selling it too. Now I'm like, ugh. Two P90s, of course, but they're kind of on the weak side actually, but they sound great, like because they're on the weak side. So like the neck position sounds like a great big Strat. And in the middle position, it sounds amazing. It's been refretted. It plays great. It's got that nice 54. If anybody's ever played a real one, that neck, it's magical. So put a Bigsby on it. Used to belong to the guitar player that played with Kate Bush. You can actually see it on my Instagram story because I played it a little bit at Soundcheck. It's killer. Ugh. And then you also saw my Instagram today. If you looked, there's a reel on there of a 57 gold top that's I got black plastic, and that's really great. And we were on stage playing tonight, and he said, "I gotta rob a bank tomorrow." It's not his. He was, playing it and maybe trying to figure out how to get it or something. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, it's P90s. P90s says Peter. Sorry, I'm early. Actually, not sorry, I'm early. Let's hang. Folks will show up on time, and they'll be like, "Oh, he's already here." We'll switch. Seeing you next Sunday in London, says J Blues Guitar. Yeah, I guess we play next Saturday, Sunday, right? Cadogan Hall? Cadogan? However you say it. I don't know. So it'll be fun. Is it Chelsea or something? Close? I don't know. We got here Landon's in Ottawa. Stephen Douglas. Nerd Halen. What's up, man? Excuse me. Hello from a snowy Boston. Yeah, how's the storm? East Coast. Anybody on the East Coast? The bomb cyclone. Cloudy today. Looked like a pretty crazy storm, from what I could tell. Stormy Glasgow. Somebody's from Stormy Glasgow, and then I lost the comment there. It zipped up to the top. Oh, it's Marty Boy. Sorry, my eyes are screwed. Towards the end of the day, my contacts. I got some new contacts recently, and they breathe more than the ones that I had before. So it's supposed to be better for my eyes because you get more oxygen. But towards the end of the day, they start sucking. Like you can't see as well. They just get blurry. It's just kind of how it is, I guess. And they're like, "Well, doc's like, you should really wear them." And I'm like, "Yeah, but they kind of suck. Like driving at night." Try to just work with them, but it is like I gotta blink a lot and stuff. It's a problem. The vision's always been a problem. 50 years of vision problems. Oh God, I'd love to get it just worked on. Anybody know any amazing eye surgeons? I can just put a new lens in there, fix me up. Been minus 30 in Toronto for too long, says Peter. You know, it was like that in Edmonton too, Peter. I mean, just bonkers in Edmonton. Just like so much cold weather this winter. So I don't know, getting crazy. East Coast got waxes. Good day from Wisconsin. Oh, good to see all you guys. So, all right, let's This here's a fella here. This is Curtis. He says, I just ordered one of your black signature guitars. I can't wait for it to come in. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks, man. You know, I don't actually even, little tidbit of info, I don't even have a black one that's exactly like the ones that other folks have, because I don't have a black one with rings. My black one doesn't have rings. And after I got, and the black one doesn't have my name on the back of it. So I think it's actually got John's name. I had John sign it on the back. And then like a year after I got that guitar, is when they asked me if I wanted to do the signature model, and it's basically all the same specs. We've changed the fret size. I have the new bridge on the black guitar now. So the only thing that's different is that it's direct mounted pickups. It doesn't have rings. So I don't even have a black one that's like the ones that you guys get, or the one that you'll get, Curtis. So howdy from Aarhus, Christian. My friend Tracy Guns is there right now, I think. Lives there part-time. I love that town. It's a beautiful town. I could live there. Great place. Awesome. Great food. God, the food in Denmark. Oh my God, it's so good. There's no green room for this tour after the show. Not really. Well, first of all, we're not doing any meet and greets or guests or anything because of COVID. So it's like we've been pretty isolated and trying not to have folks backstage and stuff like that, or do any. We used to do meet and greet where we go out and talk to people afterwards and stuff. We would drink in the lobby, hang out, and they'd buy like posters and the DVD and stuff, and people, we'd sign them if they wanted and stuff. But we haven't been doing that on this tour because no problems so far. We made it this far. Nobody got sick, so it's pretty great. It's working. There's a lot of people that aren't touring right now. I've seen a lot of tours canceled and dates. People move them till the fall. We're out here doing it. It's like full 6 weeks and we're making it work. So, wow, white wall. Where's Ross Halfin to take a photo? I love Ross Halfin. Good times with that guy. I've done a lot of travel with that guy. Back when we touring with Chris, he used to come out with us sometimes and stuff. So we went to all kinds of crazy places. I mean, UK for sure, but also like he was in Denmark, also Iceland, and like all over the place. He'd just show up. So I've got some cool pictures actually. My favorite picture he took is in Iceland, and I'm kneeling on the front of the stage playing a solo with my head back, and I got no shirt on. I'm playing. Cornell's leaning on the stage in front of me. He jumped down into the front. He's leaning on the stage, looking up at me. So he looks like he's like a fan in the audience, He's looking up, and I'm playing a solo with my head back. It's like that's my favorite Ross Halfin pic that he took of us. Anyway, Plexico, what's up, man? Hope the NY is treating you well. What's the NY? Oh, the New Year. I think that's what you mean. Good, sure. If a 412 Marshall cab is too impractical, what 212 cab would you recommend for a Marshall sound? Well, I like mine. I mean, I got to, that's what I was going for with mine, so I've got to recommend those. I'm sure there's plenty of good 212s out there, but both the horizontal 212 we did for the original PT100 works great because it'll work with a high power 100-watt amplifier or whatever. It's got Creamback 75s in it, and it's deeper than a lot of 212s. Not super deep, and it's not super oversized like a Bogner. Those are cool. I used to have a Bogner oversized 212. They're not bad at all. Mine's slightly more compact than that, but it's probably just as deep, I think, and it's not quite as tall. So, because once you get into the Bogner one, it's almost the size of a 412. You almost take up a 412. It's not really that much smaller. So, so the horizontal PT 212 is great. The new one that we did for the PT15 also great. Just a little bit lower power handling. It's a greenback in one corner and a V30 in the bottom. So it's that, and it's the size of the old Marshall, like the ones that they did for the 2061X. That's what I was trying to say. Because I always like that cabinet. It's a really cool cabinet. Missed a little super chat here. Christopher, what's up? I'm all for boutique pedals, but I've still never found anything that makes me happier than an SD1. Hey, classic pedal works great. A great one is that JHS, if you want to get kind of the Bonsai, I believe it's called. It's a every tube screamer plus, well, it's not SD1, is it? It's an OD1, I think, in the Bonsai. But anyway, it's all the tube screamer variety plus the Boss version, kind of the closest thing. So that's a really neat pedal. But man, if you got it covered and don't, Boss pedals are great. Great, great, great. I'm gonna get to the super chat here in a sec, but I just got to look at this. My drunk friend is still on my couch from 2 weeks ago. He won't leave and hates that I post on your feed because he respects you. Say hi, Dave. Hey, Dave. What's up, dude? I'm drinking a Thatcher's right now. What are you drinking? Why are you still on this couch after? Hopefully, you've gotten up to shower. Unacceptable. I've enjoyed your travel photos. Thanks for. I love taking photos while I'm on the road. I like to see something cool and go, I'm an amateur photographer. I don't know what I'm doing, but I like doing it. Have you ever played an SD9 a la Lando? No. Honestly, it is one pedal that I have no experience with, and I'm always like, I got to try that. I got to try that. I got to try that because it's a Scott Henderson thing too. And I'm friends with Scott. We talk on the phone about guitar and guitar sounds and stuff all the time. And he's got, he rolls the tone down on the bridge a lot and then uses the SD9, and he's just got this whole thing. And I want to see what his thing is sometimes. So got to get him to teach me what the thing is one of these days. Just like last Sunday, I'm in a venue where there's a speaker and there's noise in the background. But anyways, the speaker is from the stage. I could go turn it down, but I'm too lazy. What's up, Batman? Just did my first gig using your 2 Notes 9 Hour cabinet. Sounded amazing. That's awesome. How did you load them? Were they in like a Cab M or Torpedo something or other, or how did you do it? Fill me in. I'm really interested. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Is mixing a greenback with a creamback H in a 212 a good idea? I think it's probably fine. You might want to try creamback M too, but actually I like the regular greenback more. I think, for the dB difference, it's going to be the same as the G12H30 and a greenback, so there's kind of no way around that. Look at the efficiency of the speaker I'm thinking of, the Neo version, the Neo creamback. Look at the efficiency of that too, because that sounds a lot like a greenback. It's probably the same as a greenback, though. I just don't know. I'm not sure. That's another one to consider though too, because I think it's more power handling, the Neo greenback. So it could be a good one in a 212 too. Anytime you put a greenback in a 212, it's always a little bit of a compromise, only because you 25 watts, right? And you guys know, for those that don't know, let's say you put a V30, which is, what is it, 70 watts power handling, I think, in a 212, and then you put a 25 greenback. That doesn't mean you've got like 95 watts of power handling. It means that you've got, it's basically like you got to consider the greenback as being like, it's almost like you got 50 watts of power handling. It's like you still blow up because the greenback gets hit just as hard. So don't add them together. You know what I mean? Like make it more like a, conservatively rate the cabinet at like, you could put a V30 and a greenback, and you still kind of want to consider it a 50 watt cabinet or a 60 watt cabinet or something, even though you've got that higher power V30. Yeah, you won't hurt the V30, but the greenback is still going to get hammered by, say, 100 watt amp or something. So you just have to be careful with that. Any thoughts on Fishman Loudbox Mini for 100 capacity gig with another acoustic? Don't know that. Never tried that particular unit, so I always don't like to, in the interests of transparency, I don't like to recommend things that I haven't actually tried. So yeah. What else we got here? Ever try any talkbox? On the last tour that I did with these fellows, I used the Dunlop, which just kind of has it doesn't work like through an amplifier. It works through through a microphone. So it's got the tube and everything, and it's got an overdrive in the box itself, and then the sound overdriven comes out of the tube and it goes through the mic, and it works. It's just different than the traditional top box as I understand it. Let's see if I can turn down that stupid speaker because it just bothers me. So 1 second. Let's see. Yeah. There's a knob over here on the wall. So why don't I just show you this? If you're ever in England touring, they've got speakers in all these rooms. These ones are in the ceiling. And there's a knob right here. And that's the sound of the stage, that breaks down the stage, right? And I can just turn it off. But it's in every room. It's in every room. And it doesn't really need to be. Wouldn't you ever want to hear what's going on stage when you're backstage? Maybe once in a while or in a couple of the rooms, but like not in every single room, and certainly not in the laundry. Why I'm in the laundry, for those that just joined? Because the best internet reception from the office, which is right next door, is in here. It's all glamour. Backstage. It's crazy. There's crazy stuff going on back here. Party, party. Dryers and washers. Yeah. Is this pre-show or post-show? This is post-show to the gig tonight. I'm at the end of 3, actually. 3 shows, ladies and gentlemen, 3 shows. Let's see what else we got here. Doesn't how the speaker gets hit depend on if you wire it series or parallel? I don't think so, man. I think power handling is, kind of a separate issue. You put a 25-watt speaker in a cabinet, no matter what the other speaker is, consider, like just conservatively, just know that speaker is going to get hit just as hard as the other speaker. It makes sense, right? I mean, when you think you put a 100-watt speaker in a cabinet and a 25-watt speaker in a cabinet. Well, the 100-watt speaker doesn't take the brunt of the load. They both get hit just as hard, and they're both getting driven. So if it's a 50-watt amp, you're going to be fine in theory. I mean, Jim from Scumbag used to recommend double the power of, and this sort of holds true. Like back in the early days of Marshall, when they brought out 50 watts, they would, greenback loaded 412 is 100 watts. Well, they would picture a 50-watt head in catalogs and things. You'd see them with one 412. And then the 100-watt head would have 2 412s. And they would be, so in other words, be 200 watts of power handling for the 100-watt head and a 100-watt cabinet for the 50-watt head. And that was kind of like, how they used to sort of roll with it. And the traditional thinking was, that then for peaks and things, because a 50-watt RMS tube amp can, make 70 watts sometimes, or it can, it's not, you can get peaks that are more, more peaky. So anyways, you just want to be careful with all that. Nobody plays that loud anymore. Who the hell plays as loud as they, it's not happening unless you're doing it in your basement. Did you reach out to Stuart Smith since last week? I told you both had. I didn't actually. Excuse me, completely forgot. Yeah, I don't know how I never knew that. That's bonkers. That he has the same birthday as me. I never knew. Never knew. Once, many years ago, probably like 15 years ago, I went on a date with a girl. It was like just a one. We went out once. She was fine, but we didn't gel or whatever. And we both had the same birthday, but that was the coolest moment of the whole evening. We both realized, it's like, when's your birthday? Oh, my birthday's what? Like, what? And she pulls out her ID and hands it to me, and I look up, and I showed her mine, and we were like, oh my God, that's so weird. We're born on the same day. It's really strange. Anyways, Philip says, awesome gig tonight. Have a cider on me. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And he sent me a super duper chat. Thank you, good sir. Thanks. Batman Vaughn Richtoven says, I use a BB preamp pedal through various effects into a cab amp direct front of house. Cool. That's awesome. I'm glad the IRs worked. This fella, Batman, he bought my 2-notes pack, using it in a cab amp, and says he really likes it. So tonight I'm drinking a Thatcher's Haze, cloudy, Somerset cider. Alcohol 4.5% by volume. My ears are ringing from volume right now. If it's a laundry, where's the coat hangers? There's one right there, dude. But coat hangers are a valuable commodity around these parts. So there was another one there earlier, and I think somebody took it. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I'm late, says John. No, dude, you're not. I was early. I mean, you're a few minutes late. Yeah. You're 12 minutes late, but I was here 10 minutes early, so I've been here 22 minutes already or so. Keep hydrated. Oh, I'm trying. I'm keeping hydrated with cider. All the ciders on this tour. I'm not gonna lie. It actually has happened. When I go back to LA, it'll be dry February, I guess. What else have we got here? Let's see. Yeah, I know this is true. Have you noticed that the picture for Deep Purple when you play Highway Star is marked 3 purple? Yes, I know. It's kind of funny. That is actually true. Behind us on stage when we play. Have you run into any UK YouTubers? Well, I went by Anderton's and I saw Lee and Danish Pete as well, who had never met us. We only talked briefly. The very nice guy, and I wanted to meet him. And so that was really cool. That's it for the YouTubers for this particular run so far, anyway. What else we got here? Let's see. Arthur says, backstage, look at all the groupies and drugs and craziness. Yeah, it's wild. Thanks for taking the time to entertain us. You bet, man. Hey, I look forward to this. This is actually like, it's my little home base. I'm actually a little homesick this week, so it's nice to be here with you guys. It's hard, all the guys over here, except for me and Rudy, one of the singers, all live here. So they go home like a lot, like once every couple weeks at least. They'll go, oh, I'm going to take off to London on the day off or whatever, wherever they live. And they'll go, or Liverpool. And I'm here for, the duration. So I've been here since January 1st. So it's a long time. I felt it today, like, the month away I felt today. Because it's been a long time since I've been away. That's the other thing. It's been 2 years since I went away for a month. So it's just is what it is. So it's not easy to not drink coffee, near as I can tell. Yeah, I gotta drink coffee every day. That needs to happen. Are you singing backup during the show? Not that much on this tour, just a little bit actually. But I do sing, but it's just like it hasn't been incorporated really into which I'm actually just fine with because I got enough going on in the guitar department, and it's one more thing to think about. But there's some great singers. Everybody sings in the band except for Tim, the drummer. He doesn't sing. I don't know if he sings, but he doesn't sing in the show. So, but everyone else sings a lot, and I just sing a little bit here and there. You have lots of fans on the David Gilmour Gear Forum. I didn't know there is a David Gilmour Gear Forum. Is that Gilmour-ish? Is that like on that site? Is there a forum or something? Fill me in. I didn't know that. I love Dave Gilmour, so it'd be cool. My shoulder's killing me. I've got like from just guitars and the road and stuff. It's like constant ache. Do you have to set up your own gear every night, or do you have stage hands? I have a wonderful tech named Roger Middlecoat. He's a legendary dude. He used to work for Iron Maiden and all kinds of people, and he's a sweet guy actually to the core, but he puts on a curmudgeon act. He's not. He's a very, very nice guy, and he's really smart, and we get along great. And I really appreciate his help out here. Maybe he's a bit of a curmudgeon. No, he's not. He's a really he's really sweet. Like to me, I feel like he's like. It's like people expect him to be that way because there's a thing with British guys, like crew guys, where they can be kind of like hard, been there, done that kind of, you know what I mean? And but I think most of them are actually they're very funny and they're like really sweet, and they're not really. It's almost like a stereotype, and then they sort of play into the stereotype. I feel like, and it's actually not. Maybe it's sometimes accurate, but most of the time they're all like super lovely guys on this crew. They're really, really great guys. Everybody on this both the guitar techs and then the sound. But Roger's also the stage manager, so he's more than just my tech. He does he's got a pretty big job. I mean, he's the guy that calls house lights every night. He's the guy that rounds up everybody, gets everybody for It's like he's in charge of so much actually. So he's got a big job, but he's also got to take care of me and all my guitars and everything. Um, and I'm really happy he's here. So big props to him. He's wonderful. Good guy. Earthquake today, really in LA. Well, tell me about that. Is my place okay? How big was the earthquake? Give me a Richter scale number, because that's a little concerning. Are you playing the PT15 or PT200? It's the 15. I'm just using one PT15, and it is louder than loud. It's loud as I could possibly want on this tour or need. I'm not even pushing it. I've got the master on 4. So I find the PT15 gets louder up to about 5 on the mat. If you're running the masters super high on the channel, which I wouldn't recommend you do, I don't run them any higher than 5 really. But anywhere between like 3 and 5 is a great range to find the volume on each channel. And then the global master sets the overall level. Also works as the effect loop return. So the channels are also the effect loop sends. And then the global is the return. And I run it on about 4. So it'll get louder up to 5. The amp's only 15 watts, but it's ripping like that. I mean, it's not like 100-watt Marshall loud, but it's loud. So 4.1 says it. You know what? 4.1 earthquake you can feel. I mean, I remember, if it all depends how deep they are and where the epicenter is. If the epicenter is under your apartment building, you feel it like a lot. I remember earthquakes around the 3.8 or 4.2 or 4.1 or whatever, but they'd be like when I lived in West Hollywood, there was a big one. It wasn't big, but it was centered right like a mile underground, right in West Hollywood, and it was like knocking stuff. Like, I mean, we had a giant mirror that went over in my place and stuff, and it was like somebody picked the place up and dropped it once. That's what it felt like. It was nar. I didn't feel anything earthquake-wise, says Lauren. It's interesting. Sometimes I miss them, like you'll be in the shower or something, you're moving around, get ready to go or whatever, and then you get out and it's like, oh, there was an earthquake. I don't feel anything. It's like you gotta be sitting still to feel them. Randy Price says, opinion on the Duncan 59 custom hybrid. I haven't tried that one. What's hybrid about it? Because that is kind of like, I built a mod shop Fender Strat. I'm not jiving with the Shawbuck. I usually go for JB, want something a little different, play Van Halen to modern hard rock. It sounds, I mean, just the idea of it seems weird to me because the coils are going to be, I don't know. I don't have any idea, dude. Honestly, I'd have to put it in a guitar and try it to form an opinion on it, because it's like, it seems like the coils would be so different. A custom is a ceramic. What's it going to have? One coil that's a ceramic and one that's a, how do you, I don't know. It seems weird to me, but maybe it's amazing. Oh man. Okay, let's see here. Who's feeding your cat? Well, he's not actually my cat, so he's technically not my cat, but he's 30% my cat. Have any opinion on Toy & King neck and Chopper T bridge pickups in a Telly? You guys are asking me a lot of pickup questions that I don't have answers to tonight. I'm sorry. It's just a lot that I haven't tried in particular. Those are DiMarzios. Chopper T, are any of those in the Richie Kotzen? Tim Pierce is a really good guy to ask if there's any way to ask him about because he's tried quite a few of the DiMarzios, I think. But most of my pickup experience, to be honest, is with Seymour Duncan and then a few other brands, and then obviously all the surf stuff these days. And now I've got some experience with EMGs as well. I wish I had more answers for you. Sorry. Do you rent your gear for this UK tour in all caps? No. Everything here is mine. I haven't rented anything. I sent a 412. The PT15 I'm using lives over here with the Sir fellow that I always say distributor. He's not a distributor. He actually works for Sir and lives in the UK. And he's like their man in the UK. This is my friend Nigel. So that's the PT15 I use. And then I sent absolutely everything else. My amp, but sorry, not my amp. My cabinet, my pedal board, all the guitars and accessories, wireless and everything. I think I've told you guys about the wireless that I'm using, the Axient from Shure, which is absolutely amazing. So I can tell you more about that if you want to hear about it, but it's very expensive. It's incredible. So good. Let's see. Was thinking about you, wondering how the tour is going. It's going great. Really, really good. Wow, a slew of super chats have just come in. What's the story with the 57 Les Paul? James, the other guitar player in the band, a friend of his owns it, I believe. He's been borrowing it from him, and he's brought it to a few gigs because it's kind of on extended loan, and he doesn't want to buy it, but he wants to buy it. It's kind of like that. So, have you ever met Jim Cash? I have not. Say hello to him for me, though. Yep. How do you deal with English power outlets? Well, so most like my whole pedal board is all switching power supplies now. So the Friedman power supplies, and they'll all work anywhere in the world. Most do, a lot of stuff works everywhere. Modelers and all kinds of stuff. They're all on switching power supplies. The PT15 I use is a Brit spec PT15. So that's the only, it's the only thing because the amps are sort of country dependent, depending on. But I've got one over here, and that's the main reason why I use that one that's here. Okay, I'll get to a couple of these super chats here. Thank you, guys. Ryan says, your thoughts on the best in-ears drivers brand. I can tell you, I'm using these in-ears from ASI right now, which is a division of Sensophonics. And they have little microphones built in. I've talked about them before on this program. Do I call this program? This YouTube live stream thing that I do. Cheers. They are really good sounding, but they have the mics built in, and that's the main thing, is you can get ambience mixed in with the mix from the desk. So you can hear your amp in a very natural way. You can hear the stage in a very natural way. You can hear the audience, the drums. You can walk over the drums. They get louder. All those things that don't happen with normal in-ears. So I'm a big fan of them. Check them out. ASI is the company, and Sensophonics. Take a look at them. If you want to know other brands, I mean, I've tried Ultimates. Good old UE7s are decent. They're fine. A5s from 64 years. I also have a pair of those. They don't make that particular model anymore now. They make an A4 and an A6. I always recommend fewer drivers is fine for guitar playing because you don't need the latest and greatest are like 25 million drivers, and you don't need that because it just adds up to more low end. And just a good 2 or 3 driver, 4 driver is fine for guitar players. You've done great historical research on the EVH sound. Thanks. Would you ever do a deep dive on Randy Rhoads guitars and gear? I'm not as interested in it, to be honest. I love Randy, and I really like his playing, but I sort of am not like a massive fan of his sound, at least his recorded sound. Live, the one thing that I really loved from him was that After Hours thing that you can find on YouTube and stuff. It's a television program that he did with Ozzy. Rudy Sarzo's on bass, and Tommy Aldridge is on drums. And he sounds great on there. And he's using it looks like white Marshalls with and you can see I think there's Altex in the cabinets, and they've got you can see the kind of aluminum dust covers or whatever. He sounds awesome on there. In the studio, the sounds, I love the playing. I mean, the playing's so cool, and he was so unique. But I mean, I feel like he was still trying to find his sound or something, to be honest. I hope that's not like sacrilegious to say or something, but he was really young when he passed. What was he, like 22, 23 years old? And I feel like he just kind of got some gear or whatever, probably when he got with Ozzy, and just went with it, like a Distortion Plus through a Marshall, kind of really mid-rangey, and those speakers. It just wasn't my thing, you know. I like Jake's thing more, you know, Jake's tone, to be honest. That's just my personal preference, you know. Uh, so, but Randy, his parts were amazing and his songwriting was amazing, you know. I just wasn't as big of a fan of the tone in particular. Jen Majura was on Tone Talk yesterday, and she says she's got all Fishman fluents, great tone and no noise. I like those pickups too. I have one guitar with those in them now, and they are quiet, indeed. Are you going to make a signature guitar with another brand? Not anytime soon. Never say never, but I mean, I don't have any. You know, I'm good friends with the Surf folks, and they've been wonderful to me, and you know, I have no sights set on going anywhere else. Uh, they're like family to me, you know. Which signal goes to the front of house mixer signal from PT15 quad cortex? Well, both. So the PT15 line out goes into the quad cortex where I'm doing the speaker simulation and then adding some effects as well. And then that signal goes stereo out through DI to the front of house. Yeah, that's what's happening there. There's Jeff with a super chat. Thanks, bud. Good evening. Great of you to hang with us this late after a gig. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll probably just go an hour. I'll go like another 30 because I'm actually pretty fried. 3 days on, and then uh, you know, I'm ready to. I'm really glad we got a day off tomorrow in Cambridge, which is a beautiful town. So that'll be really nice. Be really nice. All right. What else we got here? Christian says yes. The Chopper T pickup, we were talking about this earlier, is in the Cotzentelli. That's what I thought. I thought he had those chopper pickups in there. So you'd have to ask him what he thinks. You're going to do any more episodes with Tim Pierce in the future? Probably. I mean, some way, somehow. I love Tim, so I'd love to do something with him. You know, what's your best pickup line? Do you like the Super Distortion or the Duncan Custom? Do you see what I did there? That was terrible. If you just log off right now, I won't be. I understand. I'm sorry. I won't be here all night. Volcano active now in Japan, as well as multiple places around the Rim of Fire. Which one? Which one in Japan, Eric? Is it Sakurajima by any chance? I wonder. Let's see. Bob Dylan plays at Cotzentelli? Does he? That's awesome. I had no idea. That's really cool. For some reason, I find that humorous. I wonder if he like studies Richie's licks. I'd love it if like Bob Dylan was a big Richie Kotzen fan. That would be killer. I love Richie. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Randy had his own sound at the time. Music sound in general was changing. Yeah, I mean, it was like a new time, you know. And Eddie was like a little older than Randy, and Eddie was really, you know, it's like Randy, I think, was just kind of like really gifted. Like even the guitars he played were a little all over the map. It was more like, you know, trying to get the shape and the like. I knew Carl Sandoval pretty well. Like 1991, I think I met Carl Sandoval, who built the Polka Dot V. You know, and I think it was more about getting a crazy guitar that looked cool, and he had the hot pickups in it. You know, Duncan distortion in the bridge, and I don't know what was in the neck. Um, Probably a jazz or something, right? And you know, I think it was just about like I think the thing with Randy was he was really gifted and brilliant, but like wasn't, you know, he talked about like how he wasn't like I think he wanted to go back to school or something and play, like he was really a classical guitar player that like fell into rock or whatever. And I think he, you know, from what I've read anyway, it seemed like he'd like rock, but classical was like his real love. But then he kind of got into the rock guitar game and was like, you know, and then of course that's the most interesting thing because he was like, okay, now you play loud and dirty and like rock out and everything like that. But it seems like, you know, the reason he was so unique was because of the classical bent, right? And it was like, well, you got to find a sound, you know? So we just kind of went, I don't know, get a distortion pickup and like built some guitars and like whatever. And he was still trying, I mean, he was so young. He was like trying to find his way. It's fascinating in a way, you know? I think Eddie was just like way more of a disciple of like, you know, Eric Clapton and course, he did totally his own thing, blew up, did his own thing. But I would say that he had a lot more experience by the time he was in the limelight than maybe Randy did. Randy just got like thrown out there and then was brilliant, but he struck me as being really young. Like, you know, I don't know. I wonder how Randy's recorded tone would have changed over the years. Exactly. Yeah, would have been interesting. Oh, you saw him live on Diary. See, I saw the Diary tour, but I saw it with Brad like a month after Randy had died. Um, so it was like Ozzy came out, he shaved his head. I remember he came out on stage, he had no shirt on, he walked out bald, and everybody like went, you almost heard the audience because nobody'd seen a picture of him like that. And he just had kind of a freak out, I think, after Randy passed away or whatever. And he came out and Brad Gillis was playing guitar. It's like literally when we bought the tickets, like Randy was still alive. I remember that, and I had like third row floor or something. I was a little kid, and then Randy passed away, and Brad came out and continued on tour. Wild, a crazy time. Yeah. Man, if you're a musician, just don't get on a small plane. Yeah, especially not screwing around with a pilot that you don't know. Nightmare. Such a tragedy, that whole thing. I mean, you know. Can you discuss your warm-up routine? I mean, generally speaking, I just pull the guitar backstage and I just play. Um, Sometimes I'll go over parts that I need to play during the show, but many times I'll just play. I've got a couple things that I do that I've done for 20 years that are like Steve Morse things, warm-ups that work really well for me. They're not fast, they're just kind of difficult. They skip strings a lot. There's this one John Petrucci thing that I learned off a video that I do too, and it's just to get my hands synced together and the blood flowing. That's all it is. Because I find I get nerve things in my hand if I don't warm up, like where they'll feel shocks and things. It's not good, but as soon as I warm up and the blood gets flowing, that doesn't happen. This has been going on for years, so it's not like some developing thing. And as long as I play for 20 minutes to a half an hour before I go on, I don't even use an amp backstage. I just play unamplified. I just play very deliberately and kind of slow and make my hands work together. Um, and it helps. Okay, what else we got here? Let's see. That's right. Teammate says Randy wanted to go back to school and get his master's in classical. I think that's what I remember too hearing. So, oh really? Eric says pretty big burp out of Sakurajima. How interesting. That's the volcano that I got to look at that in the news. Thanks for letting me know that. I've spent quite a bit of time in that town. That's Kagoshima, where Kiyoshi Negabuchi's from. Um, and that volcano is very, very active on a daily basis. I mean, I've been there where I got up in the morning, literally opened up my hotel room, and there it is. And there's a big cloud of ash coming out of it. I'm like, do we need to leave? Like, what is happening? And that's just like, no, it does that every morning or quite often. Oh my God. But interesting. I got to check that out. Kagoshima is an amazing place, really interesting city with this active volcano right across a bay. There's water separating the city, and I've been up to the volcano and actually kind of hiked up there and stuff. It's incredible. So uh, interesting. Okay. This fella says he's not a big George Lynch fan, but man, can he play? He's a sweet dude too. He's hilarious, and he's got great guitar sound. I love his guitar playing. He's very unique. This is interesting. Yeah, what do you think Ozzy would have sounded like if George Lynch would have? I think it would have been really cool. I think both George and Jake are great. Would have been neat at some point to see George with Ozzy. I think could could have been really quite cool. I think actually. So, I mean, George is burning now. He's amazing. Seen him with like where he goes out and does those. He goes out and does like 3 tunes at the end of a Dawkins set or something. Got a great thing going there. But he sounds incredible. Uh, yeah, yeah. Uh, I've heard videos of EVH saying he taught Randy everything. I don't even know if those guys really knew one another. I'm not sure, but it's like I think there was a lot of competition back then. I mean, you got to consider LA guys in their early 20s. There was a lot of, a lot of competition, I think. So it's an interesting time in guitar. Uh, I'm just going back through the chat here, looking. Jake seems like a funny as hell dude. I still haven't met him. I really want to meet him. I think it's going to happen one of these days. With CRS, you play lots of different styles. Is it taxing mentally? A little. I wouldn't say taxing, but it is it's challenging at times. I go right from playing Spirit of Radio and to listen to the music by the Doobie Brothers, which is like every night it's like, well, there's a shift gears, just downshift right now, It's a totally different thing, totally different guitar sound, and it's like, but that's the gig, So kind of just how it is. Yeah. What else we got here? PT 100 on 10 in the tune-up room. No. What's your preferred acoustic guitar pickup system? I really like LR Bags, generally speaking. The Anthem, I think it's called, with the Element pickup. It's a microphone, and I also really like Taylor's. I mean, whatever's going on with Taylor, they're so great. I mean, like there's some Taylors out here on the road. With one of our singers, he's got a 12 and a 6, and they sound so good. And they're just like, there's no effort to it. They've got a bass and a treble and a volume. You plug them in, and it's like, there it is. It just sounds great. So I'm really a big fan of Taylors in general because they play so good, they sound so good, they tune up, they intonate, all of it. They're like Sirs, but acoustics. They're just really good guitars. So I'm a big fan of those. And I like Takamine too. I've got a nice Takamine that sounds great, has a great pickup in it. They're great live guitars. Just whatever comes in them, it's terrific. My Takamine, I have no idea what the model is, but it's got a palm tree on the 12th fret, and it's a cedar top, and kind of it's all brown. It's like a dark kind of finish, beautiful guitar, and it sounds just great. Yeah. And Nathan says that Randy's heart wasn't in being a rock star. Literally 4 days before he died, he said, Dozzy, I want to go back to college to teach classical guitar lessons. Ozzy said, you're nuts. Yeah, I mean, God, man. I think that's true. I think he really loved classical music, and that's what he wanted to do. And he probably was like, but there is an element to touring that's like, it's music's a part of it, but like doing big arena rock tours and the spectacle and big stages like Randy was doing and stuff like that, like it's not pure music. It's like there's a big part of it that's showmanship and a show and a spectacle. And it's not really about like it's pretty far from like playing classical guitar, like the really, sitting down playing nylon string guitar really beautifully, like fingerstyle or whatever, and that purity or whatever. There's, things exploding and giant things that you're supposed to run around, and Ozzy picks them up and puts them on his shoulders or whatever, and you run around. It's like totally different skill set, and you're either into that or you're not. And just because you're not into it doesn't mean you'd be ungrateful or whatever. It's like it's kind of weird, like in a way, like the whole thing is I mean, it's like you have like I'll give you another example, like the beauty of playing a classical guitar piece. Now it evolves and you go through. Keep in mind this is pre Steve Vai or Joe Satriani or like even Eric Johnson or like guys like that were like stretching out and playing things instrumentally that were quite complex and challenging, and more like rock riffs and stuff like in the 70s and the 80s. It's like a different thing, So what's my point? Maybe Randy just like, I don't know, like could he like maybe he would have become, it's fascinating to think about, like maybe he would have done a solo album or something, or done solo stuff that would have been where he could explore that and like, or play nylon string or play nylon and electric and do like his own compositions or something like instrumental, and that would have been really satisfying for him. We see guys like Vi in the context of Whitesnake, right, or David Lee Roth, and then he went on to do Passion and Warfare. It's like totally different thing, right? And it's like, and then he kind of continued on like that. Maybe that would have been Randy, you know? Interesting to think about. I never really thought about it like that, but he could have been one of those guys where it'd be like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to do this thing, and then like, go on and be, like not just playing the riff to Crazy Train or whatever. He did so much more, but it's like just getting started with Ozzy. So now that you've been out for a while, any thoughts on returning to the road full time? Well, not. I mean, it's never full time. It's always like, well, I get you mean like right now, like the full time in the like. I would never want to do this 12 months of the year anymore, unless it was with I don't know some amazing situation. But I think everybody feels that way. Even everybody else that does this would be back me on that. But it's like you gotta go home, sometimes. But it feels great. It's a lot. Like I've been out for a month now, and it's like I say, it'd be nice to go home, for a weekend or something. But I can't, so I don't. You just that's part of the gig. That's what you sign up for. So and it feels good, and I'm always reminding myself like be grateful, like to be out playing and enjoying yourself because um, you know it's a special thing to be able to play music in front of the people, and we didn't get to do it for a long time, so it's great to be out here. Thanks, Pete. Hope CRS comes to North Texas. Me too, man. Could happen. They're talking about it. They're talking about doing US stuff, so I think it would be really fun. I think Randy was like Mick Taylor. Oh, that's an interesting comparison. I think didn't really enjoy the craziness of it all. Stones and Ozzy. Mick's a great. That's really good because Keith was always kind of like I was puzzled by in his book he talks about how he never really got to know him and how it was weird. But Mick Taylor, yeah, maybe he just wasn't into touring and the crazy, that aspect. Great guitar player, similar. Randy, great guitar player. Maybe he just it's not for everybody. Uh, I always wonder what Eddie thought of Steve Vai and Joe Satriani. You know what's funny about that? I so when it comes to Joe, I had an engineer friend that I introduced to Eddie actually, and he worked for Eddie for a while. Um, Eddie was like, "Yeah, man, I just don't have anybody at my studio." Like this happened. Like, it's weird to think about this stuff. But Eddie literally was like to me one time, he's like, "Man, I don't have anybody like right now. I don't know if you'd had it." This is right around the time I met Eddie, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know anybody." I'm like, "Well, the guy I rent my house from, actually, like I had a little guest house, was a dude named Steve Holred, and he used to work for Glenn Johns as his second engineer, and Glenn Johns a friggin' legend, So he grew up like proper English engineer, and Steve was a great engineer. He could record Steve was a guy that he could set up microphones, like whatever analog tape. Like he was a genius, editing, like what old school English engineer, great rock set like Glenn John style, Andy John style, like that school. It's kind of thing I would liked, right? So I'm like, well, I know this dude that I rent a house from. He's in Studio City's right down the hill from you. Like you should meet him. So Steve goes up to Ed's place, up to 5150, and they start doing stuff. And Steve's like, man, he's like calling me all the time. And he like starts going up there like every day. And then Steve became his guy for like about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And Steve actually, in a way, almost became tighter than I was. I mean, I talked to Ed, and would text like back during that time. That's when I would talk to him the most. This is 2008 or 9, 10, 11, something like that. And Steve was literally like up at 5150 like every day doing stuff. So what's my point with this whole story? I got totally derailed from your original question. Well, the point was that Steve was second engineer, I do believe, on the Steve was the second engineer on the Joe Satriani album that he did with was it Glenn or Andy? It must have been Glenn. What's that a great record that's got Summer Song on it and everything? I'm forgetting the name of the Satriani record. But anyway, Steve worked on that record, and he played it for Ed up at the studio. And Ed goes, I've never really listened to this guy. I've never heard this. And I found that really funny because he'd already had Surfing with the Alien and Flying in a Blue Dream and those records out. You would think that, but Ed wasn't actually aware of it. And he was I don't remember if he said he liked it or not or anything like that, but he was like, yeah, I've never listened to this guy. Like he'd heard of him, but he'd never listened to, So a lot of those stories about Ed are true. I think that he didn't really listen to much. Like he didn't go out and buy a lot of music after. He always said in interviews, like the last record I bought was "So" by Peter Gabriel, and that he loved Red Rain, and like that he hadn't. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like he didn't really listen to a lot of new music that was coming out and stuff. He just constantly worked on his own thing and was like writing music and stuff. So, anyways, The Extremist. That's right. That's the record, The Extremist, that Steve was an engineer on. So, anyways, it's an interesting story. But for a while, Steve was Ed's guy, and he was up there working at 5150 all the time and stuff. And I was, honored that I could introduce him to somebody that he bonded with because he really liked him. He was like Ed was really down. Then I don't happen after a little while it kind of petered out. It was around the time that they did A Different Kind of Truth, and then he hooked up again with Ross Hogarth, mixed A Different Kind of Truth, and I think Ross got more in there. Ross sort of became like he sort of took over that job up there and stuff, but which was 2012, so that makes sense. That's the timeline. I haven't thought about that for a long time, but. Anyways, there's some super chats I missed, so I'm gonna go back here. September Fire, just saying, hey, thanks, man, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thanks for the great gig in Salford tonight. Everybody in the band is awesome and gel so well together. It looks like you're having a lot of fun on tour. See you at the London gigs. Hey, I'm glad you made it. That's awesome to hear from somebody that saw the show. That's cool. We had a lot of fun tonight. A lot of fun. Yeah. Have any thoughts on how any of the other members learned the songs as accurately as you have? Did they use transcribe? I'm not sure how they learn stuff actually, but they get definitely deep into it and they work really hard on it for months and weeks at a time. That's for sure. Oh, that's up. Lou from Texas. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. So it's about 3:49. I'm just gonna go to hour tonight, guys, because I'm getting tired and thrashed. But so I'll go another 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna jet. Not sure what next Sunday will be, but I'll find out. I'll do it no matter what. It'll be either after a gig or it'll be a day off. So we'll see. I've been watching for a time, and this is my first question. Do you think you need a compressor pedal for an AC30? Well, that's a really good question. Recently acquired a Dynacomp, and even on the lowest setting, it's still too squashed. I can see that. I mean, an AC30 is like a big compressor. So if you're turning it up past 3 or 4, it's really got that cathode bias or class A or whatever compression to it already. So probably not really. But there's different kinds of compressors. You could try, a Dynacomp is a squishy thing. So you could try a Cali 76 with it, for instance, from Origin with the mix control, just blend in a little, or maybe a Carl Martin style might work for you, or the Sir Koji or something that's more. They've got mix controls, and you can blend in just a little compression. But if you don't feel like you need it, then you don't need it. The Ego is better than a Dynacomp. I would agree with that actually for the most part. A Dynacomp's a thing, but a Wampler Ego compressor is really nice. I used one for a long time on my board, the mini Ego. Does the set list change? We changed order tonight. We didn't add any songs. We do have another one we might add in at some point. I'm just not sure. We will see. Ever do something together with Weird Al? I would love to do that. No. Never met the man, but I'm a fan. Next Sunday is the second of the London gigs at Cadogan Hall. That's right. How do you say that? Cadogan? Not sure. Exotic SP is nice with an AC30. That's a nice compressor. I used one of those for a while. Keeley's a good compressor. Agreed. So many, different types. Here's a couple bucks for the Magic Fingers massage on your hotel bed. Put the quarter in. I need that. I need a real massage. That's what I need. If YouTube didn't exist, how would life be different for you? Oh, I don't know. A lot of things. I would have had to hunt for work. But YouTube's been a blessing, especially even during the lockdown. It was like, man, this is fantastic. Because I could actually still work and do things. Make demo videos for companies and things like that. So I don't know. It was a happy accident, that's for sure. just worked for me because it certainly wasn't planned that I would do this as a thing. Let's see. Since Randy and Eddie were considered to be the leaders of the new guitar age, do you think they would have pushed harder while trying to top the other? Like, had Randy still, been around to do his thing? Maybe, but like somebody said earlier, Randy actually wanted to go back to school. Maybe we would have seen Randy drop out for a while anyway and like do something else. I don't know. It's really a fascinating thing. We just don't know what he would have done. We don't know what Jimmy would have done. What would Jimmy be doing? Like, would he have started a band with somebody? Would he have, like or like, what would the projects have been like that he would have been involved in? Like, it's crazy things that we just speculate about. I don't really know. To be honest, I think by the time that, Eddie kind of like, by the time we got to Diver Down and then to 1984, that was just kind of magnum opus of, really, I think of 1984 as musically, there was a peak that happened with songs like Girl Gone Bad and Hang 'em High, and where the guitar yayas got it. He did more stuff later, but once Sammy got in the band, it was more like pop songwriting. I think you guys would agree. They did crazy stuff, Get Up and AFU, All Fired Up, those songs, like crazy stuff, but it was more like the majority of the songs that we think of from that era are a little bit more like the best of both worlds or Right Here, Right Now. It was less of the guitar shreddery run around. It was more like pop songs, like more like pop rock songs with cool guitar parts. It wasn't so like focused on the like, think about Girl Gone Bad or whatever. Like, it's like fusion music. It's crazy. So it's hard to say what Randy would have been doing. Where do you place your compressor? U67. That's this unit 67 is in like right at the front of the chain. It's really close. It's like the second pedal, I think. But no, I also have a Andy Woodshed Sir compressor. That's in loop 1 of my pedal switcher. So after the unit 67, my wah and my freakout pedal in loop 1. That's my main compressor, the Andy Wood one that I use for compression, like typical compression. The other pedal I use more as a boost. I use it with the Rangemaster on, so it's like more. It's getting me into quasi Brian May territory almost, or it's distorting the amp for sure. Whereas the Sir is not. It's doing my, like, in front of the clean channel of my amp. It's my clean. It's on all my clean sounds. Basically, it's always on. And I love that thing. What else we got here? Let's see. Thanks, and get some rest, says Todd. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna go hit the bus in a minute. Maybe have some peanut butter and jelly. Tired. The Rangemaster's fun. Yeah, I love Rangemaster style pedals. So great. Were your parents musicians? Not at all. They didn't play. Well, here's the thing. My dad played piano when he was young, and I know he made it up to 6th grade piano, like whatever in Canada 6th grade piano was. But when he was a kid, he played piano, and he didn't enjoy it. I know that, like the lessons and stuff. But I know that he was kind of a perfectionist with everything he did, and I know he did well at it and made it to 6th grade. Now, I would have loved to hear him. I think he actually he really liked music, and later on, he would talk about it sometimes, like, "Oh, I wish I'd paid more attention, put more time into it, or whatever." So he would say that, and it would have been interesting to hear him. Like, could he still sit at a piano and do anything? I never saw him do that ever, so I'm just not sure. But they weren't musical, but they both enjoyed music. My mom really dug Tina Turner. She was really into Tina Turner, and towards later on, she got really into like ELO. She was like listening to ELO. She'd buy all these ELO records all the time. I was like, that's cool, And my dad was a big country fan, so he was always listening to like George Jones. He liked Charlie Pride a lot. Kind of like old school country. He was really into it. So, and he liked old rock and roll too, 50s rock and roll. He liked Elvis and stuff like that. So, yep. What else we got here? My mom likes Tina Turner. I love Tina Turner too. I mean, she's amazing, And did you guys know that Private Dancer was a so that's Jeff Beck on the solo, but it's a Mark Knopfler tune, I think. And when you hear the way that the vocal melody and stuff, it's like, oh, that totally makes sense that Mark wrote that. It's an amazing song. And then he wanted to like I think he was supposed to play on it, but then he didn't like the song. I can't remember when they got Jeff to play on it. So it's amazing. But there's that one Jeff Beck Jackson, the Pink Jackson that she scratched her name into. And supposedly they were both drinking or something. Kind of interesting. Tina's she's a legend, man. I mean, I honestly I would have loved to have played with her. It'd be so cool. Because she's so cool. I think. I mean, she's an unbelievable artist. What tour are you on? Coming to Birmingham, dude? We just did 2 gigs there. The last 2 nights, Friday, Saturday night, we're Birmingham Town Hall, right in the center of town. Sorry, Larry, if you were there. Birmingham Town Hall, legendary venue. God, I looked up all the gigs that were there. The Beatles, Pink Floyd, numerous times. Yes, Genesis, Jethro Tull, The Who. Everybody played at the town hall. So we did gigs there Friday, Saturday, and they were cool. Friday was great, actually. Saturday was cool too, but Friday was probably my favorite. Yeah, good times. Tina's still alive, yeah, but she's pretty much, I think, kind of retired. I believe she lives in Switzerland now. She married a guy there, and lives happily ever after in Switzerland, as far as I know. You don't see her out that much anymore doing stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Wish she would, but she's older. She wants to chill, maybe. All right. Tina Turner's incredible. Tina's new book is awesome. I'd like to read that, actually, but it's amazing. Patrick says, I'm sorry that you lost your folks at a young age, at an early age. Lost my father at 15. Well, you lost your dad at a really young age, 15. That's super rough, At least I got to be, into my 30s, and it's never easy. They weren't old, that's for sure. They died too young, but at least I'm thankful that, like you, man, Patrick, that's a tough, you get it, I know, but being 15, that's really rough. So I'm sorry for you too. It never goes away, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Everybody out there, we all experience it at some point, don't we? Thoughts on Vito Bratta? Amazing guitar player. Sort of fell off the face of the earth. It would have been interesting to hear what he did, but he was cool. I've got some good Vito stories. I think I've told them before, but I was a fan, and then it turns out he lives in the apartment building that I moved into when I first moved to LA. So, and he was living there at the used to be the Oakwood, now it's in Avalon, Burbank. It's this massive, huge complex of buildings, of apartment complex kind of thing. And I lived in unit U107, and he lived in unit V107. So it was 2 different buildings. And one day I got a piece of mail. I'd seen him around and stuff, and I was a little starstruck. I was only like 19 or whatever. I loved his guitar playing. But anyway, one day I get a piece of his mail. It says Vito Bratta on it, and it comes to my unit because I'm in U107. He's in V1. Well, the mailman just screwed up and put it in my mailbox because V sort of looks like a U. And I brought his mail over to him, and I knocked on the door, all excited. He's like, wow, this is a good excuse to say hey or whatever. And I knock on the door, and he comes to the door. He'd met me a couple times. He probably looked through the keyhole. He's like, what do you want? Or whatever? Leave me alone or whatever. He yells through the door, and I was like, I got a piece of your mail in my mailbox. Just bringing it to you. And he opens the door. He goes, oh, Sorry, man. He takes the mail, closes the door. I swear to God, that's my Vito Bratta story. He totally cussed me out. I was just like being a nice guy and bringing his mail. And then after that, I was sort of like, and I don't think I ever saw him again. And we didn't really hear of him ever again after that. That was kind of the end. So that's my Vito Bratta story. Be nice to people. You never know. They might end up talking about you on a thing called YouTube 30 years later. Seriously, what a douchey. But I mean, you never know. I always give people the benefit of the doubt. He was probably on a phone call or something with like girlfriend or something, and they were having a fight, and there's the kid at the door. You know, right? You know, he had to have a reason for. I'm sure he wasn't just cussing me out. But anyways, hey. Well, let's see, guys. It's 4:02. I should probably split and get my suitcase packed up. I never know in these venues when they're going to be like, like locking it down, locking it up, the dressing rooms and things. So I should probably get out of here. But this was a good one though, even though it wasn't super long. I guess I did go. I went at least an hour and 10 or 12 minutes, right? So I will let you guys know ASAP. About next week. I didn't this week. I literally put up the watch page just a few hours ago today, but I promise I'll look at it sooner and stuff and see if I can, let you know sooner so that, if it's going to be late or at 11 a.m., 11:30 a.m. or whatever like it usually is. We're going to do another classic rock show live stream with the whole band and everything. We've done a couple of them. So there'll be another one, at least one more before the end of the tour, maybe two. Ben Coombs has got his live stream coming up, so go join him. He's talking about it there in the chat. My faithful moderator, he's always here. Thanks, Ben. I'm gonna go crash and chill. You guys have an awesome week. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you all. I do. And thanks for the great questions and the super chats and stuff. You're the best. Over and out from the laundry room in Manchester, Salford. See ya.